I have given you every herb-bearing seed. To you, it shall be for food. Genesis 1:29. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Psalm 78:25. Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to be making an onion orange baked chicken and cauliflower with almonds and a garlic herb pull-apart roll. Now we're going to get started on the chicken. I've got my oven behind me preheated to 375 degrees. In this bowl I have, now I'm using panko breadcrumbs, but you can use just soft breadcrumbs if you want to. I just like the crunch that panko gives. Either one will work. And I have 1 packet of the dried onion soup mix that I'm going to mix together. Either with a fork or with your hand is fine. Hands are easier. And then in this bowl, I have 1 can of frozen orange juice that I've thawed. I have not diluted it at all. I just have thawed it. And then I have some boneless, skinless chicken breasts and a sheet pan that I have lined with non-stick foil. And with your foil, always remember you've got a shiny side and a dull side. The dull side is what you want to be, touching your food. Now, this couldn't be simpler. Just take your chicken, dip it in the orange juice, and then dip it into the breadcrumb mixture. The orange juice will help the onion breadcrumbs to stick to the chicken, and then just place it on your baking sheet. And I actually think I'm gonna move this over to here. So take your chicken, dip it into the orange juice, let the excess drip off, and then into the chicken mixture. And just repeat. Now you can use any kind of chicken that you like. I just prefer boneless, skinless chicken breasts, but you could use legs, you could use thighs, you could use anything you wanted. Okay. I have 5 because that's what was in the package, and I'm feeding 5 people. You use as many as you need to. Okay. You don't need too many crumbs. Let me arrange these a little better. Okay, last one. Set this up on my board. And the coating coats, just about perfectly coats 5 chicken breasts. If you have any extra, and I do have a little bit, not much, just sprinkle it evenly over top of the chicken. And then using a spoon just a little bit of the orange juice, the thawed orange juice over top, just to kind of add a little flavor and a little bit of moisture. You do not need salt because your onion soup mix has a lot of sodium in it. This is absolutely delicious and it's easy to cook. And then you want to put this in your oven uncovered for about, 25 to 30 minutes. Let me wash my hands. Okay, so this is just, I'm gonna pop it in the oven behind me because I don't have an oven in front of me here. For about 25 minutes or so. Alrighty, just get that in the sink. Now, while that's baking, we can talk about the cauliflower. Now, I happen to love cauliflower. And I have here 1 head of cauliflower that I have washed. And you will want to, I didn't prep this ahead because I thought some of you might be just a little bit intimidated by that big head of cauliflower, and this one is big. What you want to do is take a small paring knife, cut down in around the core, and get these outer leaves off. Okay? Cauliflower is truly one of my favorites, and it is becoming one of my most favorite vegetables. Mike and I both love mashed cauliflower instead of mashed potatoes. We've been eating mashed cauliflower, and we both agree that I think I like it better. And I never thought I would say that. That recipe's coming, the way I do my mashed cauliflower. Now, what you're left with is a head of cauliflower that you want to cut into florets. Now, I want to kind of cut this, well, I'm going to just cut it in half first, make it a little easier to deal with. Okay, and that's what the inside of a whole head of cauliflower looks like. My little floret I'm putting in the bowl here. Take your little small paring knife, and I like to just kind of cut around that core. Work on a board because they will be falling off, as they should. And there you go. There is the cauliflower core out. Now, as it falls apart, you will want this to be in smaller chunks. All right? I like to just cut these bigger ones in half, and if they're really big, like this one, into quarters. And we're going to steam this cauliflower using the microwave. If it's big, you know, just cut it in half. All right. You can steam it on your stovetop if you want. We do not want to boil it to death. So when I say steam, I literally mean steam. I don't mean put it in a, gallon of water and boil it till it's tender. That's not at all what I'm going to do. This was such a big head of cauliflower, I'm only going to use half. I will save that for something else. I love raw cauliflower in a salad. I just love it. Add all this little crumbly bits to it. They'll get a little softer, but that's okay. All right. And we want to add just a little bit of water, maybe, a fourth of a cup or so, just enough to kind of, you see, I really literally just have a little bit. I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap, pop it in the microwave for about 20 minutes. I'm going to clean up, and when I come back, we will check on the chicken and we will get started on the topping for this cauliflower. I'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, our broccoli is steaming in the microwave. We just covered it with some plastic wrap. Our chicken is baking. Now let's get started on the rolls. You will need a sheet pan, and if you watch this show, you already know this next statement, but I always line with nonstick foil or parchment paper, something, because number one, I don't like scrubbing pots and pans, and I don't have anybody to scrub them, so it has to be me here. And plus, it helps them not to stick. So I always line my baking sheets. And I have here 1 can of the croissant dough that you buy in the dairy section. And I'm going to open it, and I'm actually going to, on my cutting board here, this is just a big cutting board, I'm going to lightly flour so the dough doesn't stick. That's the only reason I'm doing that, because what I'm going to do is pat these individual little pieces of dough together. Now, if you can find the sheet dough, by all means, get the sheets but I couldn't find those this time. And you want it to be, for ease of workability, you want it to be into two. If you want to do it in one big one, go ahead, but it's just easier to work with. You want to lightly press those seams together. Just don't use too much flour. I just am doing enough to keep my fingers from sticking. And if you want to use a rolling pin, you can. It's up to you. Might be a little easier with a rolling pin. Alrighty, so I got a rolling pin here real quick. I just want to show you, just lightly flour the rolling pin. I'm just trying to press those seams together is all I'm doing. Okay, you'll still see the seams. That's all right. Take your fingers and press them together. I'm a firm believer that your hands really are one of your better cooking tools. Clean hands. Okay, if it pulls apart, just press it back together. That's okay. We're not trying to really stretch it. What we're trying to do is just get those seams pressed together. Okay, let's do this one just a little bit more. Don't want too much flour. I love that little, it's Wonder Flour is what it is, but it really, I use it for patting out dough, like pizza dough when I make homemade pizzas. It just works great. I smell the cauliflower cooking. Okay, now, that's fine. Just 2 sheets of dough. Let that sit for a second. Now, in this bowl, I have 1 block of just cream cheese, and I've got some dried parsley, which you don't very rarely, well, you very rarely ever see me using dried parsley and dried basil, but it really works in this recipe. Some dill seed. If you don't have dill seed, you can use dill weed. And then just a little tiny bit of garlic powder. Alrighty. Let me grab my salt because I forgot to bring it over. Get the salt and my pepper. I like a little bit of both. Right now I'm using pink Himalaya salt, but you can use kosher salt, which is my go-to. I'm just kind of out right now. I need to get some. And freshly cracked pepper. All right. And a hand mixer makes this job a lot easier. Start on low. If you want to just use a spoon, go right ahead, it's fine. You're just really wanting to incorporate that cream cheese. Now, lift that out of there to get that extra cream cheese a little bit. Don't lift it all the way out unless you want to wear it. If you kind of work the beaters together, the cream cheese will come out. There's my microwave. We'll check our cauliflower in just a second. Just get that excess out of there. Now, I have an offset spatula, which just makes this job a little bit easier. What you want to do is divide the cream cheese equally between your dough sheets. This also makes a great dip if you want to mix in some sour cream. It's a great dip. Okay. I think that's good. And then take your offset spatula, using your fingers to kind of help spread that around. Okay, I'll show you one here. You want to go not all the way to the edges, almost all the way to the edges. Okay. My cream cheese could have been a little softer, but that's all right. If you don't have cream cheese and maybe you've got the garlic herb already mixed cream cheese, you can use that. You could use any of the flavors of cream cheese that you find in the dairy section of the grocery store. Any of them will work. Use your favorite. There's a vegetable one that's delicious. There's just all kinds of these things. All right? Now, My cream cheese is spread out on this. Alrighty, you want to roll it up. Either direction is fine. You want to roll it up just like that, seam side down. Cut off the end because it's just scraggly looking. All right, and then cut them into, I like to cut it in half so that they get even. Then cut each half again, and then cut each half of that in half again. That way they're all the same size. And put them cut side down on a lined baking sheet. Okay. Just like this, a couple of inches apart. Alrighty. Now, I'll do this one in just a second. I gotta take a quick break here, but let me show you how I'm gonna finish these up. I have 1 beaten egg that I'm going to brush the tops of each little cream cheese thing. If you don't want it to be cut side up, you can bake them like this, it's fine. Either way works. Matter of fact, I'll do these the other way so you can see the difference. Either way is pretty. I just kind of like seeing the spirals. It doesn't matter. They taste the same, all right? But we want to kind of brush that, and then with some poppy seed, just lightly sprinkle the top with a little bit of poppy seed. And then we're going to bake these at 375 degrees for about 10 minutes or so until the dough is cooked all the way through. I'm going to take a quick break, clean this up. I'm just going to roll this out, do the same thing on this one, put it on here, and then when we come back, our cauliflower should about be ready. Check it in just a second, and we'll make the topping. I'll be back in just a minute. Our bread is in the oven, and I did the other roll, the seam side down, so you could just see the difference, but the same thing. Cut them, brushed it with egg, and then put the poppy seed on it. Our our cauliflower, you could do this with broccoli, is done now. It only took 10 minutes in my microwave. Every microwave is different, so you will need to test yours. I would start out with like 8 minutes, and then you just want it to be fork tender, like that. You don't want it mushy. You really just want it fork tender. Now, on this I have some butter, about 4 tablespoons of butter that I am melting over top of like medium-high heat. I'm using this because my stove is back there and you won't be able to see me, so we're just gonna do this. We're working, by the way, on the new Everyday Manna set. So this is just a temporary location. I'm so excited to debut it, but that's another program. Okay, our butter is melting. Now I have here some garlic, just a little bit of crushed up pasty garlic that I'm gonna add. I don't have this on really high heat, so that's why I'm adding the garlic now, because you would not want to put that over high heat. And some almonds, just some sliced almonds. What I'm gonna do, and a little bit of salt. I'm gonna put a little bit just straight over the cauliflower, and a little bit of pepper. We'll put a little pepper on our cauliflower. Not too much. We're just wanting to saute these almonds and garlic, cook the garlic a little bit until they take on just a little bit of color. And you could add some lemon to this if you wanted to, would be fine. And then we're gonna top it with some grated Parmesan cheese. Like I said, I love cauliflower. And if you are, by the way, if you are eating the low carbohydrate or keto diet, this is a perfect recipe for you if you're trying to watch your carbohydrate intake. Maybe cut back a little bit on the almonds. But nuts are an extremely healthy ingredient and very acceptable. It's got a healthy fat in it. So that's just gonna cook until those almonds take on a little bit of a golden color. Alrighty now, everything is done, and let's assemble this dish. Now, what we did was we sauteed the almonds and garlic in the butter, and we're gonna take that and sprinkle that over top, pour it actually into, with all of the butter. Stir that together. Oh, golly. I really wish someone would invent that smell-o-vision, because if you could smell this garlic, it's so, so good. And then sprinkle the top with some grated Parmesan. My favorite cheese of all time. Stir that all together. You could use any kind of cheese you really wanted, and then serve it up. Alrighty. So here is our sauteed almonds, browned almonds and garlic in some butter. Now our chicken is done. You might want to turn on your broiler like the last minute if you want to kind of crisp up the top. It's not necessary, but you can if you want to. So there's our wonderful, wonderful chicken. Oh, it smells so good with that orange sauce and the onion flavoring. All right, and our rolls. Now, I wanted to show you the difference in baking them cut side up and then baking them seam side down. So all of these are seam side down, and then these are cut side up. I like to do them cut side up because you see the difference. You just see the little layers. It tastes exactly the same. It really doesn't matter. I just think it tastes, or it looks prettier. So there you go, a very easy, really very healthy meal with our onion and orange baked chicken breast. We just coated that with the frozen orange juice that we thawed. I mixed panko, but you could use just any kind of breadcrumb you have, with 1 packet of the dried onion soup mix. Dip your chicken in the orange juice, then coat it in the breadcrumb mixture, place it on a lined sheet, sprinkle any leftover crumbs, and spoon just a little bit of the orange juice on top and bake it. Then we've got our wonderful steamed cauliflower, and we browned up some almonds in some garlic with some salt and pepper, and oh, it just smells so good. We did our pull-apart croissant rolls that we just mixed cream cheese with some various herbs and spices, rolled it out, rolled them up, then cut them into little bite-sized pieces, baked them in the oven, brushed them with a little bit of egg wash, sprinkled on some poppy seeds, baked them in the oven for about 15 minutes. And there's a quick, easy meal that you could do start to finish in 30 to 40 minutes. Even on a busy work night, you could fix this meal. Thank you for joining with me, and I will see you next time on Everyday Manna.
Thank you for watching Everyday Manna with Lisa. This program is made possible by viewers like you. Your support is continually needed to keep Christian programming on the air. Please send your best financial gift to Living Faith Television in care of Everyday Manna, P.O. Box 1867, Abingdon, Virginia, 24212.
fill up my senses like a night in a forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses, come fill me again. Come, let me love you, let me give my life to you. Let me drown in your laughter, let me die in your arms, let me lay down beside you, let me always be with you. Come, let me love you, come love me
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor